Well, hello everybody. Aaron Shiner here and Luke Newton, the CEO of Locked On. Absolutely excited and delighted to be bringing you this very, very special presentation. And this has been a long time coming. We're going to be talking about leveraging automation to generate more revenue, more leads, more listings in your business. I heard a stat recently from one of the major groups. So one of the major groups just released its white paper. And what they said was 54% of all business comes from their database. But more specifically, 54% of their business comes from nurturing their pipeline. And that got me thinking, what is nurturing? Because everybody has a different definition of what nurturing looks like. For one person, it could be I send my clients an email once a month. For another person, it could be I speak to them every 6 months. In this session today, I really want to take a deep dive into what the best agents are currently doing to A, nurture their database, but also B, put it on autopilot. There's a few restrictions in this business. And let's be clear, one is the amount of hours you can work. So everybody's gifted with the same amount of time. So if you were to say to me, Aaron, I want to scale my business. Some of my coaching clients are now writing in excess of $3 and even one writing in excess of $4 million. You might come to me and say, Aaron, I want to grow my business. How do I do it? Well, you've got two ways. The first way you can grow your business is through labor. You work more hours, you hire more people, and you throw more money at it. We can grow our business that way and we can get results. The second way we can do this is through automation. And automation is realistically leverage. So how do we, instead of me doing it or you doing it, how do we get the software to do it? And how do we put that on autopilot so thousands and thousands of actions and tasks are happening on a weekly and monthly basis without me or you doing it? And that's really what I want to talk about today. So how do we automate your business so you're not working more and earning less, you're actually working less and earning more? That's thing number one. But that's the holy grail, right? But also, how do we better, and this is the most important thing, how do we do a better job of communicating with our pipeline? How do we do a better job of communicating with our clients without having that guilt of, I forgot to call them, or that client slipped through the gaps? That's what this session is ultimately going to be about. So as we get started, housekeeping, we're going to go for about 45 minutes. And then we're going to open it up to some questions. So we're going to take about an hour from start to finish today. So please turn your phones on silent. Please grab a notepad and a pen, because I promise you there will be implementations from today. So a couple of things, I just want to be completely transparent. We are going to be talking about automation today, and we are going to be demoing Locked On. Now, if you're using Vault, Rex, Agent Box, that is completely cool. Everything that we're going to share with you today, you'll be able to do in those platforms anyway. So I guess this is what I'm trying to say. Regardless of what platform you're using, there will be benefit today. Now we have to demo one, so we're going to demo our own, obviously. So Luke, can I hand it over to you?
Yeah, definitely, mate. Well, yeah, we will be showing you sort of the automation and those, I guess what we call, Nelly, fundamentals that should be automated in a business. I like to sort of say there's no reason why you should be doing these anymore. Like, there is a systems, there's a technology. These used to eat up hours of your time, nearly a day a week from what we'll show you easily for some agents. And especially back in your career, like even just the open home reminder will show it was a whole day for you. So there is really, really no reason whilst you have to be doing these yourself anymore. We're going to take away that labor and give it back to you. And that's what today's about, is like, where can we get the extra income from things happening automatically and giving you back the hours to do more dollar productive work, chasing and doing appraisals per se, or meeting new leads. I think the next slide that we sort of have up here, Aaron, which was something that you sent through to us, is a really good quote. Automation is like having a team of personal assistants working for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, completing thousands of tasks for you every month. So, this hits home, because within Locked On's world, when we look at our trigger system and we log into some of our bigger accounts, it tells us how many times they've fired, and we can see, for example, inquiry reply has happened 30, 40, 50,000 times on some of those big accounts, over a year or two, sorry, not over a year or two, but over the span of them being with us. And you know, that is in itself a salary, right? Like,
Oh, it's
you know,
more than a salary. That's a
you
lot of
take into
salary.
it, you take into account what it would normally take some people that are doing manual inquiry replies from an REA account, finding a template and hitting forward. Although
Mm.
you may think you're quick at it, over the long term of you doing that without using technology, that's a
Th- th-
salary.
There's two things, Luke. It's not just the salary. It's what's it costing you to do it,
Mm,
but also when you get busy, what does it cost you not to
you
do it?
miss it. Yeah. What's it
And
cost you to
and,
miss
and
it
that's
is
the
more
value
important.
you can't put on automation, because there's a client who didn't get their email correspondence. That's a client who never actually looked at the house review. That's money that you spent on, putting a Premier ad up that you didn't get to monetize. So there's
Mm,
there's two costs to automation and having a great database. One is what it can actually do for you, but also what's it costing you not to do it. And I
mm.
think that's actually a much more important stat. Like,
I
here
think
is what I
so.
would say
It's not
to,
a talked about one too.
what's that? Sorry?
It's not a talked about
No.
one. Like no one
Look,
thinks about that.
there's a couple hundred people on this webinar right now. And here's the question I would ask of everybody. You think about this. If you had stayed in contact with every single person you'd ever come in contact with through your whole entire real estate career, every buyer you ever met, every potential seller you ever met, every appraisal, every transaction you've been involved in, imagine if you had stayed in contact with them either via email, SMS, letter, or a combination of those things, all happening on autopilot. What would your business look like today?
Yeah.
Just type Y for yes, it would be better, N for no, it wouldn't be better. Right? Put
Yeah,
it in the chat just so
we'll
we
see
know
a
that
lot
we've
of
still
whys
got
come
you.
up. Yeah.
Loaded question, I know, right? It should be a lot of yes, and there is a lot of yeses coming through. Good to see we're all here. So, Luke, let's just, why I put this in here is because the number one question I get is, well, why do I need automation? And what is it? Well, it's exactly like you said. Automation is the thing that works for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when you're asleep or you're having a day off, because you've earned a day off and you're entitled to it. You're not a machine, you're not a robot, you're not meant to work every single day. There should be a little bit of work-life balance, but having this is like having a gold washing plant wash the dirt while you're not there, and it goes, here, I found you some gold. So we've sort of talked about the labor and the leverage part of how you grow your business. Labor is the time you put in, leverage is the systems you use. So today it's going to be all about the systems you use.
Yeah, the leverage. Yeah. And here's just a nice one to start. And it's kind of, this may be actually bespoke to Locked On. And we're not too sure, as Aaron mentioned, you could implement these in other ways in other systems. But the anniversary related or driven communication in real estate, I think, is when I'm doing our training, I say it's like nearly the pinnacle, right? If you're building a relationship with someone and you've sold them a property, which is the asset which you eventually want to resell, or you've sold for someone who may have another property or a friend that you could sell for them again, or their friend, communicating with them on that particular date through one of their biggest assets is the pinnacle of the communication. We want to automate that, and we'll show you that later. But this just takes it to another level. And we're always saying, if you're signing a document or you're meeting a purchaser or vendor, and at some point they're going to have to physically sign something and put their legal names and documents down, ask them for their driver's license. And you should be able to always get every purchaser and vendor's birthday details. That's just a little simple trick. It may not be on your form, but just pencil it down. When you've got their driver's license, just say, I need that to make sure I spell your name correctly. And then you also get that. And when that's stored, you actually then start to have a really beautiful point of difference where, look, I wouldn't say every agent, and I wouldn't say it's standard, but a lot of people do anniversaries and they do them for the first 1 or 2 years, and then it fails. Well, that's not going to happen once we start to show you the information in the plan. But where that is more of a business relationship and a follow-up around a great transaction, this then becomes that personal relationship, I think, which then takes it from, I don't know, Aaron's my agent, but now he's also someone I consider a friend, or someone that I could, always would call, think about that he's my agent, and no one else is really going to be on that same level. So once you store their birthday in the system, every morning at 9:30, our system scans for any past vendor, any past purchaser, or any contact in that matter that has a birth date stored in them. And they receive that SMS and that email automatically that morning at 9:30. You're probably going to be the first person to contact them in most cases. But you will now see that this starts to fire off every year, same day for the rest of your life. Okay, so
Now,
that's another great leverage part. And we do understand, like, some people still like to write cards around this, but it's getting time back and using automation and to get that, that hour back. Instead of writing the cards, you've got another more effective way of doing it now.
Yeah. So a couple of things, Luke. Like when you said this email, this SMS, it could be anything you want. Literally, you
Yes.
could change whatever template you want in the email. Personally, if I was going to double down on a birthday strategy, I'd make a little video that's generic enough and say, "Hey, Aaron here from Pied Piper Real Estate. Just want to say a big happy
Yeah.
birthday to you today. I want you to enjoy your day. If there's anything we can do, please get in touch. But more importantly, happy birthday from my family to your family. Whatever,
Yeah.
whatever your video sounds like." So they get your text, they get your email with a video in there. There's a thing called, in the human brain, there's a thing called the RAS, which is the reticular activated system. And I only learned this recently off a coaching client. And if Trent, if you're on here, what's up? And the reticular activated system is when they start hearing you and seeing you more frequently is when they start to remember you. And creating these touch points without just being, a string attached around real estate adds a lot more value. There's a saying that I try and live my life by, and that is the definition of ethics is doing the right thing when nobody else is watching. The definition of ethics is doing the right thing and expecting nothing in return. Well, just wishing somebody a happy birthday is the definition of that. I don't want anything from you. I just want to say happy birthday. And one thing I know about birthdays is everybody likes to be remembered on their birthday.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a perfect example. I think that I'm a pretty hard dude, right? Like, I don't care about my feelings. I don't care about your feelings. But one year on Facebook, I must have turned off my show birthday. And I'm like, oh, no one sent me a happy birthday message on Facebook. No one loves me anymore. And I actually a little bit sad for a moment. Then I realized, well, I actually turned it off. But I'm just trying to say, from that, even that impact alone, it's nice for people to remember you. And I promise you, that old saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Wishing them happy birthday is important, but doing it on autopilot. Now you've got 2,000 contacts in there, and there's multiple birthday messages being fired every day. That has an impact on your business. It has a compounding effect.
Oh, a massive compounding effect. Like you mix this in with what we'll show later with like sale anniversaries and appraisal anniversaries, and you start to get several beautiful targeted contact automation points throughout the year. But, taking it away from, industry related to friendship related, like I do feel as though this is a really unique thing that not many people are doing well or have the capabilities to do.
Yeah.
So it does stand out. And I like your point where the video is just like the birthday card, where every year we change our message. So it's something fresh they're seeing. And you simply just put a new video on the email and it will send every year. So you start that in January 1, and then next year everyone gets a new different type of video.
January
so
1, everyone gets a fresh video.
Yep. So we always say change the image or change the message every year, and then it's something fresh. Yep. So like we feel as though that's a nice bit of automation to start on, something a bit outside of an industry standard, but is very, very capable if you now start the mentality of, well, I am going to start getting driver's license. I'm going to start asking for birthdays because of the power I have with the leverage of this. And this may not give you back time because you may not have been doing it, but it's now something new you're doing.
Well, part of that whole 54% of your business comes from nurturing. And
it's crazy.
This is part of the nurturing strategy. And again, let's just be clear for those who are joining late. We're not manually doing this. The system just knows it's your birthday. It will fire it at the time that you specify without any input from you.
And I think I just flicked the screen over to Locked On just to quickly show you this, is that like when I log into my test account that we're going to be looking in and out of today, like it tells me upcoming birthdays. Ray Wood is turning 19 on Friday the 26th. Ian French, 36
he
on Monday
wishes
the 19th
he's turning
of June.
19.
So it's clearly telling me what my next upcoming are, and they will be automated on those days. But also if I thought, oh, look, I might give Ray a call, at least it's there, or I might send Ian a card this year. It's prompting me as well as visually, but the automation is behind that, which is powerful.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's move into the next one, which is, it's not an industry standard by any means, but it should be. It definitely
100% should be.
Look, anyone that's on Locked On, this is really, really heavily forced on you. It's like, no, you got to use it. Like, don't worry about it. I'll turn it on for you. Like, let's get this happening. But the premise of the inquiry reply is that every single inquiry that comes from your main portals or your website into the account is captured, and an email and an SMS is fired to that buyer instantly after they make that inquiry at whatever time of the day. So this is when we talk about 24/7. And, great case studies on this is that if any of you went to REA in your own area right now and inquired on, call it 5, 10 inquiries of all your competitors, see which ones have automation set up. It's only going to be 2 or 3 out of the 10, if that.
Yeah. If
And
that.
some of them may not even have the automation that is instant, right?
When we were
We're
looking at
talking
buying,
about-
Luke, when
Yeah.
serious, no BS, when we were looking at buying recently, I'm sitting in my brand new real estate retreat. I haven't got, there's a TV on the ground over there. It's that new, right? We've just moved in. We inquired about a lot of different properties. I got one auto reply, a total. And I'm like, this is awesome. Scroll to the bottom, powered by
Powered by
Locked On. I'm
Locked On.
like, fist pump,
Yeah,
right?
it
I'm like,
worked.
I own that
So,
company. That's sick.
Look, and that's why I say, as much as this should be common, it's not. Okay,
Yeah.
but it is so easy, and here's the extra power of it, right? And you can agree or disagree with this, but I feel as though if a buyer is making an inquiry online and they just get a simple, "Oh, thank you for your inquiry, we'll be in contact soon," like it's a wow. It's kind of wow, like they did something, and we're getting a beautiful
It's something better
SMS
than
and
nothing.
an email. It's better than nothing, definitely. So it kind of tells them that, hey, my inquiry worked. It's gone to the company. That's impressive. No one else had that, but this is where I think the power is, right? Whereas every single property can have its own bespoke certain information or key information about the property that you may not be able to find online. And mainly what that is for most properties is around documents. Okay. This is also helps you streamline your approach to working with buyers because they already have everything by the time you've called them. So a completely different conversation to someone who's got this inquiry reply looking at on the screen, 8 Skinner's Avenue for Ian. I've given him all the beautiful stats and bullet points about the property that he may not have read online, but I've also given him access to download the key information such as the contract for sale, pest report, building report, floor plan, rental appraisal, whether it's a URL click or a button. He has that. So when I ring him, I say, look, Ian, you've got all the information on the property. Just, is there anything you didn't get? Oh, no, that was great. You answered it all. When can you come and see it? Like that's the conversation. That's it. And then you're straight on to booking the appointment.
Yeah, like Chris has just mentioned something. Chris has said, Chris Q has said, the buyer could also be a potential vendor. I just want everybody to picture this, right?
Well, we've got that in our next step, so don't give away too much.
No. But let's just say you're sitting, you're a buyer. It's 10 o'clock at night. You're on realestate.com.
Oh, going, yeah.
Yeah, you're a buyer. You're cruising the internet, and you go, right, there's a house that I potentially like. I put my details in. And I go, you know what? Let's hope I hear from this agent, because that's really what it is. It's a game of hope. Maybe some will, some don't. Basically, the second you inquire, you get an email back with all the pertinent, all the really important information. Here are all the stats. Here are the facts. Here's, click here for the pest and building report. Click here for the contract to sale. Click here to, for the offer form, whatever it is, rental appraisal letter. You can put whatever you like in there. And then 30 seconds later, you get an email saying, hey, thanks for your inquiry on ABC Street. We're going to be in contact with you shortly. Please save my number. It's like, well, this is a massive point of difference. There's a saying, guys, and that is there's two sayings. First one is speed kills, right? You've got to be in there first, because magic leaves. The longer you wait, the less interested they are. So if we can get them in the heat of the moment, that's really important. But also the most important thing is an informed buyer makes that informed decision. The goal of this is really plain and simple. I'm giving a buyer all the information so they can make an informed decision, and you didn't have to do any of it. Literally nothing. You can have 100 inquiries come through a day, and every single buyer, with 100% success rate, will get your email, will get your text.
Yeah, 100%. So this is hitting their inbox, and I think we all know buyers are sellers. There's a really high conversion of buyers to sellers. So I think Chris put in a little chat before, like it could just simply be a prospective vendor out there searching
Doing
for
research.
the next agent doing research, and that is very common. So that's quite impressive, answering all their questions, instant replies on the inquiries, and put it to the test, guys. See what's out there, see what your competitors are doing. If you get one back, scroll down the bottom and see if it says powered by Locked On it. Let us know. That'd be really cool. So yeah, that's the inquiry reply. And that's basically all the leads coming from the system, hitting a Locked On account. This is where this happens. An SMS instantly, and then the follow-up email. Okay, which can be as detailed or as simple as you want. But I generally like to train that give away more information is way more powerful.
More is better. Like, what's the point in just saying thank you? This is the number one rule of our business. You must add value at every opportunity. Like right now, we're doing this webinar because we want to add value. We want to show you something that you may not know that can improve your business. There's no point just replying to a client saying thank you. Give them something of value. That's when they will remember you. So have that email set up that's going to give that buyer all that information. And they're going to be like, man, this guy's on the ball.
And I think Mark, brought up a critical point about automation just there in the chat. He said, look, can you delay it so it doesn't feel automated? Like they're getting instant. You can delay this. Like you could say, send the SMS 3 minutes after and then send the email 10 minutes after.
Yeah.
Okay. So like there is that power in and Locked On's capabilities in this sort of trigger environment. We call them triggers, to delay things and schedule them based on what you think is best timings or best
A lot of
practice.
companies call triggers AI, but
It's not
that
AI.
word AI is really sort of overhyped at the moment. Like anything that does something for you automatically, everyone's calling AI, but it's actually automation and triggers. That's what this is.
Yeah, this is just, repetitive workflows that you shouldn't have to do as a human, right?
Yeah.
AI is actually, as we were chatting before this, it's like learning.
Yeah,
It's
learning's
actually just
different
learning.
to-
Like it's even hard for
different.
me to comprehend. It's very different to just replicating a process that you shouldn't have
Yeah.
to do again.
Yeah.
So we then look at another piece of automation. Now we've had the inquiry reply, we've got the buyer captured, we get into our OFI follow-up. And this is just, again, anyone that's coming through the property, oh, the old, I'll give you a brochure, or the old, here's, I'll call you in a couple of days. They should have everything, right? We're well past that we need to hide the information, or, we don't need to give it. But if they walk through the door and we've captured their information on our app, they get a thank you message. They then get an email that looks beautifully that says, thank you for coming to the property. Here's the property, the link to view it online, and all the information you need. All instant. So, they're not waiting again for you to call them on the next day. There's a thank you message just to confirm we have your correct details, and that's saved in their phone, which also gives them your number without having to give them a business card or for them to store it. Just quick little simple things that we're taking away from you that the system should be able to look after.
Yeah. But one of the things I would personally do is to sort of create a little bit of urgency on that email. So I'd be like, hey, thank you for your interest. If you have any questions, let me know. By the way, we'll be submitting all interest or all offers by 1 p.m. on Monday. And you can customize that message.
Yeah, definitely. That first paragraph can be changed.
Yeah, so I would cut. So if I know that I'm going to get a good showing on that, I'm going to add a sentence or two. Not for every single property, but for that specific. And that's the beauty of this. You can customize each one, correct, Luke?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can have little custom responses for each one, and then it can be used on the after inspection follow up. So
yeah,
100%.
I just this is the best part. Like the automation is what I would say is the business practice, but then you can customize that to how you like to communicate, how you like to engage people. I think that that's really cool.
Yeah, this one's really nice and really simple. So the follow-up is there as soon as they walk through the door. And we do have delays on this. So again, you can change the delays as we mentioned. We generally send the thank you message 15 minutes after. So they've been in, they've possibly walked out, they get your thank you message. And then we send the email with the detailed information 30 minutes after, when they're actually probably at the next open with another agent that pings on their phone saying, thanks for coming to ours. We'll be in contact shortly. So
Talia asked, is there an option to put call to action buttons on the email? Short answer, yes.
Yes. Yeah. The emails,
you
everything
can put whatever
we're kind
you
of,
like on there.
we give you preset templates. So like when you're coming into Locked On, you get your trigger system, like everything's done for you. It's just a matter of, if I show you a lot of the preset stuff inside Locked On, when you go into Engine, you see triggers, and triggers are all the automation points we're talking about. So if you just want to use the default, you're literally just going, okay, well, there's my inquiry response. Let's activate this and save. And we've built it all for you. If you want to get advanced and you're like, I want to delay this, I want to add an extra SMS, I want to, build out more steps in that follow-up, you're free to do that. But we're trying to give a lot of the concepts to you, proven, that are working, that are done, tried, so that you don't have to really go out there and think and invest heaps into templates, heaps into setup. But if you're keen and you want to, it's very, very fluid and flexible. You can create some amazing stuff. And some of our users have extended a lot on just our normal follow-up. It's amazing what some of them are doing.
You know what? Even if you just kept it standard, you'd be like years ahead of 99% of the industry.
Yeah, definitely would be. Now, we look at this as the past purchaser anniversary. And as I said before, it's not as much as of a staple. Like not everyone does it. Yes, everyone, I believe, have a very high success rate on like years 1 and 2, probably, of keeping in contact with people. But it dramatically drops off after that. Like it goes off a cliff. And this is where it really does affect the longevity of your business in a way where, look, if you're a good agent, you're a good agent, you're probably still going to be getting leads and making sales. But what I mean by this is that you're working extremely hard from year 1 to year 10, when it should be getting easier, right? And we all know the referral based business, and 54% of them is nurturing the clientele. If you're not hitting that peak performance of most of your data, most of your leads and most of your sales are coming from your database, by whatever, you probably want that by year 4, year 5. You've really got to look at it and start to say, well, I'm going out there trying to find cold things all the time. This is really tough industry. Like at some point, it's hard, but it should get easier. Not saying that
It's
real
touch
estate's
points,
easy.
Luke.
Yeah.
It's all about touch points. It's, there's a saying in real estate. There's two sayings. Number one is it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. Right. And this is a great strategy for more people to know you. But there's also another strategy, another saying where a lot of people leave this industry, and that is we don't run out of prospects to call. We only run out of courage to keep calling. Right. But here's the reality. Why go out and chase new business continually when there's already people that know you, like you, and trust you that aren't getting communication? Now I understand, and this is the best way I can describe it. In real estate, if you want to be a great agent, there's two ways you can do it. There's a way through hunting, and then there's a way through farming. Right. So what I mean by hunting is you go out and go hunt, catch, kill. Farming is nurturing that database. To be a great agent, it's not an either or strategy. It's not I should be a great farmer or I should be a great hunter.
Definitely.
It should be both.
Both, yeah.
But this is the best part now. You don't need a degree anymore to figure out how to use a database. That's the best part. Especially with Locked On, it's got so easy to use where you don't even have to touch it. It will literally communicate with your clients for you. So the database can concentrate on the nurturing and the farming of your clients. And all you have to do is go out and focus on the hunting. So you don't have to be a great farmer anymore because the technology has got to a point where it will do it for you.
100%. And this is not just sort of, set and forget automation as well. Like you can set and forget it, but you can also customize and change and do bulk and follow up as needed. Like it's not just saying this is the only way to do it. We're trying to build a best practice around it. And what we're looking at here is the past purchaser one. But if we're looking at this is a half-year anniversary automated email, again, we talk about the first 2 years being critical, but there is a lot more than just anniversary related stuff. So as you start to think, well, there would be a 1 week SMS that we normally send as well that's automated. Just, hey, you've just moved in, hope everything's going well, just wanted to check in. Little touch points throughout that 2 years that aren't just 1 year anniversary, 2 year anniversary, but are automated SMS at 6 months, at email at 6 months, email at 1 month, email at 9 months. Like these, if you see here, this is our first happy year anniversary one. You've then got another one realizing it's been 4 years. So it is continually communicating with them. I think from about year 5 on, it goes into automation anniversary, but up until year 5, we have very bespoke, different points of communication with that purchaser that's just purchased the home off you.
And I think that's probably a huge difference between us, when I say us, Locked On, and a lot of the other CRMs. Look, every CRM has the capability to do what we've just told you. But I think one of the things I'm really proud of, being a real estate coach, as well as, invested in Locked On, we actually give you those tools. So when I say we give you those tools, we give you those templates. A lot of the others, it's like, well, you're on your own, go and write the text, go and write your email, you go and put your own IP in there. We've really sort of gone above and beyond to try and make sure that a lot of the stuff is already in there, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah. And here's just a little nice screenshot of the SMS. And I think everyone knows the stats and the power on SMS, like 99% open rate. You get replies within the first 3 minutes. If you're not using it in your business, you're missing a massive opportunity.
Leaving money on the table.
Massively. Like it is one of the best things that you've got inside your CRM, especially with automation and bulk communication. Today is not about the bulk, it's about the automation, but these simple touch points, just so quick and instant, and you get replies. But have a look at some of these. So we actually just merge in, and we know, and we can calculate how long they've been there. So it's been 2 years since I sold your property. So that's for a past vendor. Every single vendor you sell for in Locked On has a simple SMS every year for the rest of their life. It's been 10 years since you sold. It's been 11 years since you sold, just from you. Just want to wish you well and hope you're doing great. Then we have our anniversary for a purchaser. You can see that one says 4 years. May you enjoy many more happy years in your home. Okay. The next one is for an investor. So it's slightly tailored and worded a little bit different. we're not wishing them happy anniversary and saying we wish you like many more happy years in your home. It's,
Doesn't make
do you want
sense.
to know the new value of your property? It's an investment. Every year you should be getting an update on that. So we do have kind of tailored and specific SMSs for your vendor, for your live-in, for your investor. And that's all in our training and how we teach you how to use this. But there needs to be different wording, right? They're the main three groups that we're dealing with. But the end result is that if you had been using Locked On from day one in your career, and you put every appraisal in there, every sale in there, and you used our system, you would never have lost contact with anyone that's important to your business that owns a piece of real estate. And that's where, over the longevity of it, has a massive impact in your career, in your income, in your GCI, whatever you want to call it. So we've got a few chats coming through there.
Yeah,
so
I like someone said, I thought I'd written those text messages. No, we did.
Yeah.
But that's all good.
Mhm.
But I just, one of the things I would say around this is, it's two things. One is, SMS has a read rate of 98% and 90% get read within 3 minutes. Why are we doing email so much when email gets a 10 to 15, 20% open rate? SMS gets 98%. Again, it's not just, but SMS costs money. What's it costing you when
Not to do
80%
it.
of your audience aren't actually seeing your message? But the great thing about those SMSs, it puts merge fields in, it puts their name in, it puts our name in. It comes from your number. When they reply, it goes to your handset. So it's like it's sending from you, you get the lead straight back. So I like this one. This one's really exciting.
Yeah. Well, just as important as like sale anniversaries is appraisal anniversaries. And, looking at real estate agents, and typically what one of our main jobs would be for our existing clients is to try and provide value to them that they need a reappraisal every year. Like that is like, you got to go to the dentist every year. You probably want to go to the doctor and get a checkup every year. Like I should be coming out and telling you what the new value of your home is every year. And if you get to that point where you can just have a reoccurring appointment with someone, that's great. But, this is the next best thing. Hey, it's been a year since we appraised your home. The market has changed dramatically, and it does every year, no matter what. Yeah,
Certainly
it has recently. Yeah. So
Ooh.
as a part of our service, as what we do in our industry, we want to give you an update and just chat to you about the market, obligation free. That's going out as a first year reminder. It then also goes into, if they don't do that, which you don't see here, but it also goes into the anniversary side of it, is if they don't read a book with you after a year, then it goes into anniversary related follow-up every year from there on in. Hey, it's been 2 years, Aaron, since you've had an appraisal.
That's
Hey, it's
smart.
been 3 years. Hey, it's been 4 years. Like it's going to keep not annoying you, but contacting you on the exact date every year until you decide to book with me again to have an update, or you call me to list.
Yeah. Now, how cool is this, right? Like, this is probably one of the biggest challenges I see in the business. We're so busy hunting, finding that next immediate listing. And this is what I would say. There is opportunities, right? And let me say this to you. If this is the first time you've heard me speak before, or, we've been on a webinar together, there's two types of potential sellers. There's what we call those short range opportunities, people that are selling in the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, etc. Then there's long range opportunities. In the past, people would call them hot and cold, but they're not hot and cold, because hot would imply that they're important to you, cold would imply they're not. Short range means they're important to today you. Long range means they're important to future you. They both have the exact same value, just at different parts of your journey. So one of the things I love about this is, all you have to do is just picture that you're a gold miner, and Locked On is the wash plan. It will wash the dirt to find the gold. You've got 300 or 400 unsigned past appraisals in the database. Every single year, it's going to ask every one of them via email and text, hey, did you want to know the new value? Worst case scenario is those potential sellers are hearing from you on the date of their anniversary, or sorry, on the date of their appraisal anniversary, and you asking the question. Now, if that's all you did from this session, I don't care if it's through Locked On, if it's through one of the other databases out there, if all you do is implement this session has been of massive value to you. Take your phone out, take a photograph of it, implement these into your own database, you're good to go. This has been a great session. But please, this is free money, guys. What's the point in trying to go out and generate new clients and monetize new clients when you've got hundreds of old clients that you can also help and add value to?
Yeah, it's definitely like you got to leverage what we said at the start, leverage the data you've already got and that
Yep.
white paper you're
It's
talking about.
cheap.
Yeah,
Costs you,
it's
you know, to communicate with 400 of them, quick mass, 166, 30 bucks ish.
yeah, it's
Not
$60.
even
Yeah, roughly
$24
400.
on one credit, 50
Yeah.
bucks on two, 50 bucks a year, say, to communicate with 400 past appraisals with your email and your SMS. Like, best 50 bucks you'll ever spend. Better than spending Zuck bucks, pumping 50 bucks through Facebook. What are you going to get? Nothing. Literally,
Yeah.
spend 50 bucks here to 400 appraisals, you'll probably pick up 50.
Yeah. Well, then we go into a weekly newsletter, and this is your
Sorry,
open
Zuck.
home invites. I'm sure he's on here somewhere. So when we're looking at the weekly newsletter, this is nearly an industry standard. This is a lot more uptake in most offices and most systems. But look, it has to be a standard, right? Your buyers, you have so many of them in your system. You have so many flowing through your data, so many to manage that it shouldn't really be your focus. We should be looking at a lot more automation really to educate them on what we have, what's open, what's sold. And it's up to them to, now freely choose, hey, I'm not a buyer or I'm not interested and unsubscribe. You can work with your hot buyers quite effectively, but you can't work with a pool of buyers that most agents deal with, right? Unless you have a really specific buyer agent and they're a gun, there's still hundreds of people. It's just a huge volume. It's the biggest part of anyone's database. So what we want to do is set up some nice, beautiful communication, which is automated. And one of those standards for most offices is a weekly newsletter. And quite simply, the goal of the weekly newsletter is to just educate. And what I mean by educate is to first of all, tell them what you've got open for the week, but also what's new and what price is on that. Okay. And then in this newsletter, which you can't see, the last section is recently sold. Now, this newsletter, you don't have to control, you don't have to think about, it gets sent. And it would be a Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. It grabs your open home, puts them in order, grabs your listings, newest to oldest, puts them in order, grabs your sales in the last 14 days and puts them in order, and blasts that off to all of your buyers from the agent who's working that particular buyer. So if you're in an office and you've got 300 buyers and Aaron's got 1,000 and another agent's got 500, what we're actually doing now is just automating your profile to all of these buyers every week. Down the bottom, it says regards Aaron, regards Luke, and it's consistent marketing to them. Now, this is not just listeds. This is not just solds. This is, all about the stock list, but it's a great education piece. Now you can advance it. You can put more into it, call to action buttons. Like this is a very simple and beautiful looking, just educational piece of our open home stock. But really, this should not have to be sent by anyone. When I mean anyone, it should not be an admin, should not be an admin job. It should not be an agent job. It should just be, I want this to go every week at 10 a.m. and it's done.
So basically what Luke's talking about is dynamic data, right? So it's taking, okay, we've added some new open homes. Okay, we've just sold some new properties. We've just listed some new properties. It will just take all those things that you've done for the week and then merge them into this email, basically. So here are the opens. Here is the properties for sale. We can also have little buttons like Luke said about, update your criteria. So then they can update their own buyer criteria. So they're getting, criteria specific emails. They can say request an appraisal. But the cool thing about this is, again, autopilot. You're not sending this out manually. It knows go out Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 a.m. send, and everybody on your database is getting the open houses that are available, the new listings, the properties you've just sold, and it's happening on autopilot. What a great way to monetize your REA and domain ad spend. Ready? You spend hundreds of thousands, and guarantee the REA reps are coming around the office right now, meeting you, which is upping the price. This is the point I'm trying to make. All the money we spend on REA and domain, that's fine. That's part of what we do. But shouldn't we monetize that? Shouldn't we hang on to that data for as long as we can? We've spent the money to acquire the client or acquire the lead. Let's do something really good with it.
Yeah, excellent. Well, let's look at the next part of this. So it's our open home reminder. And this is just, I think, a good one, just a very good use case is your story about this, Aaron. And this is going to purely explain what we mentioned at the start, labor versus leverage. The very old school of open home reminders, It's not even old school. Wouldn't even say that actually. A lot of people still do
We'll
it. I
still
guess
do it
it's old.
today. They'll do it in
Old
2030, Luke.
yeah, it's old school mentality, right? Is
Yeah.
I think the right way to say it. But the open home reminder is automation that first of all, we can send off an SMS and an email, one to the vendor, some to the buyers the day before the opens.
Yeah.
And the automation is this: find me all of the buyers who have inquired on the property that have not yet inspected it and send them an SMS or an email inviting them to come and see the property because it's open. Now,
Crazy.
Aaron, how many listings were you holding when you were at First National at any one
80.
point? 80. And I don't remember, what was your assistant's name? Forgotten it.
Lawrence.
Lawrence. He would have had a fun job on a Friday
It was
afternoon going
awful.
through
We
your
spent half a
40
day doing
opens.
this one thing.
Yeah. I remember training you guys on it, and there was no automation there. And that was a half a day job for you to find.
Yeah, it was literally half a day
everyone.
for one person just to do
Yep.
this.
Yep. So Lawrence, half a day Friday would be doing SMSs out to every person and emails out to every buyer, inviting them to the open home tomorrow. Now, you understood the benefit of it, right? The 4 hours was nothing because of what it would return. But
100%.
now it's like, I still want to do it. I know what it does, but I don't have to do it. So
Well, you
it's
don't have to
taking
put the
zero
hours into it.
time. Yeah, it's 0 time now, and I still get to reap the
We
rewards.
spend
of
we
it.
spend that time prospecting. It just blows my mind that the system can filter out, show me anyone that opened the email and looked at it, but then also remove the people that have actually seen it. So they've viewed it online but haven't seen it. So you're not like double spamming people like that, come when they've already come, so you look silly. So it removes the people that have actually physically inspected it, but sends to the people who have viewed it online. I just think it's incredible.
Yeah, it's really smart in the automation, the way it does it. But the one we're looking at here is part of our open home reminder. You can also schedule an SMS the Friday afternoon to go to the vendor to confirm the meeting tomorrow. Well, not to confirm, just to remind them. So it's a really nice touch to your vendor. Hi, Billy, just a reminder about the open home tomorrow. Regards from
It's automatically telling sellers that the property is open again. Nice confirmation email, sends out the reminder email and SMS to the buyers. It's awesome.
Now, if we look at the next part to the open home reminder, it's what's sent to the buyers. And this is what we were talking about there, is that the smarts are, it's going to know who to send it to. And in Aaron's case, he had 40 open homes. You take across all those open homes, buyers that have inquired on it, that haven't seen it, every email is personalized to the buyer about that specific property they're interested in, telling them about the open home tomorrow with a beautiful digital email brochure of that property where they can view it online, see more information. But the invite's done automatically, fast on a Friday afternoon. Aaron and Lawrence now are thinking about, where are our potential sellers? Where can we now spend that 4 hours that we didn't have to do now on generating more market appraisals? It's just giving you leverage to earn more income. So that's how the automation there works for the open home reminder. And again, it's not an industry standard. A lot of people, wouldn't have the tools or system to do that, but it's not like we've gone out and we thought, oh, this would be cool to build. It's like Aaron had implemented this strategy manually for so long, but he knew what it would return and how it would help his open homes and how it would convert to sales. It's a proven successful method that no longer you have to do. So why wouldn't you just have this automation on and running in your account? And as I showed you before in Locked On, it's already set up. You literally, if you're with us, you just click activate, pick a time and a day, and it repeats that time of day every week forever.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, never have to think about it again. So this leads us into, I think, one of the bigger parts of it, the quarterly buyer portal update. And this is our buyer portal. It doesn't have to be quarterly, so we'll touch on why it's quarterly as a cleansing option, but it also can be on every bit of marketing you have that is buyer related. And I think the most important part of this is, we call it the buyer portal, Aaron's name for it all, but it's self-management of buyers after an inquiry, after an inspection, after a just listed, when you're sending out a just sold. What's the primary focus of it all is to find out, like we said before, those 2 to 3 buyers that could be sellers.
Right.
So when you're looking at what we call the buyer portal, which is simply a button on all sorts of emails or a link in an SMS that you can send to buyers that can say, just like this is a case for an inquiry, thanks for your inquiry. Please click this button to tell us exactly what it is you're looking for. Thank you for inspecting the property today. Please click here to check your criteria set so we can match you to future listings. Here's the weekly newsletter. Please click here to tell us what you're after, or if you're no longer looking. Oh, here's a just listed. Hey, Aaron, this property matches your criteria. If it does not suit, click here to update your criteria. I think you all get where I'm going with this, but when you go into the buyer portal, it's full self-managed buyer criteria. So you're not having that conversation with them. And this is something we implemented in Locked On about probably 2 years ago. And personally, for me, with the agents that have done it and the training that we take you through, it changes your whole concept, or not concept, but conversations with buyers. So where we streamlined the inquiry response, where it's like, I just want to use Aaron as a case study. It's like, Aaron, you inquired on 8 Skinners and you received all the information and all the brochures and all the details about the property. Was there anything you were missing? No? Great. When can you see it? You're like, okay, I want to see it now. Also, did you get the next email that asked you to fill in your criteria? I know that you've got it because when they fill it in, it gives me an alert. Oh, okay, excellent, great. And the house that you're currently in, are you looking to sell? Like, I'm going to lead in with that question over everything else because I know that you clicked you're a downsizer or upsizer.
Yeah.
In my first question, which is asking you, what type of buyer are you? And the reason we have that is purely for that buyers are sellers, and we want to fish them out for you, and we want you to close them as quickly as possible.
Well, one of the things I like about this buyer portal is buyers' criteria is constantly changing. You know,
Always.
someone goes out on the weekend and says, I've got $1 million to spend. Then they watch on the news, interest rates are going up. All right, maybe we scale it back. Maybe, that's the house we want. Let's just settle for the house we need. The best part about this is they can fill in their own criteria and it automatically populates the database straight away. So all of a sudden, all those because we do auto matching, right? So you can get a brand new 3-bedder, you're looking for a 3-bedder, you get that email, all that automation's happening in the background. But the thing I love about this is, and this is the power, the second they click upsizing, downsizing, investor, you can actually run automation off that. So the second they click downsizing, that little tag where it says downsizing, you could automatically send them an SMS that said, hey, here's a link to my profile, my agent profile. Here's a link to my profile video. Here's a link to my 10 last sales. And now you've gone from communicating with them as a buyer to now literally automatically, you've never spoken to them. They've identified themselves as an upsizer or a downsizer. Now you're communicating with them as somebody that has a house to sell. So you could send them, here's my last 10 testimonials. Here's my pre-listing kit. Here's a CMA for your market, whatever it looks like, and you can do it all automated. Like, I just think it's really cool.
Oh, it's awesome. And it just, as I said, it changes your concept around buyer management, because there's so many buyers when you start to get a bit momentum. It's that the conversation is quite dull, really. Like, you're asking every buyer, look, what's your dream home? I'll just write that down. Oh yeah, okay, 3 beds, 2 baths. You want to be in this suburb, what price? Like, no. Change that conversation. Let the system do it. It's like, you would have got an email from me with a button. Just need you to click that and tell me what you're after. You also can click that again if it ever changes, but you'll also get that button in a lot of our email we're doing. So when we let you know of a new listing, if it doesn't quite match, just click the button and tell us what you're after. And then we'll match you to what we've currently got. So you're selling, like, the script and dialogues, are pretty strict and good because you are selling the benefits of your technology in your business as well. So it's a really great way to sort of change how you would work with buyers. I think it's a massive change to the concept of working with a buyer. It's no longer writing things down or losing things or managing it yourself. It's all managed by them. Now, if we look at the next thing, it's the vendor login alert. And now the vendor login, we actually aren't showing you the vendor login in our system, which we own vendorportal.com.au. It's a portal that your vendor has access to see their vendor report. But the automation around the alert system is what's interesting. Every time your vendor logs in, we send you, the agent, this message. So George Newton has just refreshed the page or logged in to 8 Skinners Avenue, Dolls Point to see their vendor report. Okay. Now, that may seem pretty plain and pretty simple, but how does this help you as an agent? Well, it's something that you never had insights before as to if someone was anxious, chasing information, or really, really, interested in the sale of their property. I think, what would you say if you got 10 alerts of those overnight, Aaron?
Well, straight up, like, if I see somebody within the space of a day, I get 2 alerts for the same property. They're anxious about something. They want to know something. I'm on the phone. I'm on the front.
Yeah, on the phone, straight away, front foot.
I've texted them. I'm calling them. We're having a discussion. So there's a saying in real estate, and that is, how do you kill a monster? You kill it when it's small. you don't let that monster get big and out of control. And that's what vendor management ultimately, where vendor management ultimately fails. We haven't been able to service the vendor when they've needed it, where this way you're knowing in advance, or I won't say in advance, you're knowing in real time when they're actively looking, do they need a phone call to sort of answer that question?
Yeah. I think the great thing you said was a front foot. Like, you want to be proactive, because if you're not proactive, and let's just say you didn't have that alert system, what's the next step for them? We're with the wrong agent. Like,
Yeah.
we're with the wrong agent. Let's start speaking to someone else. And if you can just hit things head on, like be there first, then I think that personally, I always believe that if you confront things and you get on at the front foot and you deal with it straight away, then they also respect that. It's
Yeah.
not like you're hiding from it. They're like, oh, okay, well, he addressed that issue and he addressed it really well, and now we can move on.
Yeah.
It always seems to be a lot better than trying to address it later down the track, and they've
100%.
already mentally dwelled on it
That's
for
the whole
quite
kill
some
it when
time.
it's small.
Yep.
Don't
Yeah.
let it
Well,
get big.
that's the saying I was
Same
looking
thing.
for sure. Okay. So that's a nice little automated part in there. And then you also have the buyer portal update alert. So this is where the buyer portal, what we were talking about before, is they will actually alert you to what they're filling in. Okay. So we put this little slide in here just to talk to you more about that. But it's, again, being on the front foot and having the information. And during our training and when we're showing it in the Locked On world, it's like, hey, your buyer inquired on a property 11 o'clock last night. You sent them the automatic reply with the button that says click here to enter your details, and they enter their details, and it says, oh, I'm a first home buyer, or I'm an upsizer, I'm a downsizer. You're going to call them with a lot more information and better dialogue and better conversation than the 10 other agents. So when I pick up the phone, Aaron, hey, I noticed that you're looking to sell. Oh, you've got 1 million. Did you get the email with all the properties that matched your criteria as well as the one you inquired on? It's just knowledge. Knowledge is power, right?
Yeah.
And if you've got more things that are specific to them to talk about, you're going to have better conversations. So that's what the buyer portal update alert is. It's actually telling you every time someone changes their criteria.
Well, if they're
It's giving
changing,
you
and
the,
I'm calling you because you're
yeah,
active.
yep,
And if you've taken the time to sort of update that, I'm going to take the time to talk to you.
yeah, yeah. That's what it is. There's full automation around every time a buyer in your system changes or adds criteria.
Yeah.
So we look at the DNA plans and automations, and I showed this quickly inside Locked On, but basically we have the whole automation called triggers. We started with 2 or 3 triggers. We now have about 15 triggers. We're trying to add these slowly to the system, get them right, make sure they're built for you and they're working, and then you just turn them on. That's the whole concept, right? We know that, everyone's got good intentions of creating these technology and getting right into it and learning it, but real estate is hard. You're busy and you don't get much time, unless you don't sleep, to sit there and work on your systems. Aaron said that when he created all these plans and templates, it was the worst 4 to 6 weeks of your life. And
It was 6 months, not 6 weeks.
yeah, well, I remember going over the ones that you already done to build them better in Locked On and create and advance them, and even that was hard enough, right? So we understand that getting that time or having that mindset is really difficult. But when you get a system that just has them set up, so everything we kind of showed you here has a name, and you're basically just going into it and clicking the activate button and then saving it, and it's on for your business using our standard procedure, which you can modify, add to, change times on, but that's as simple as it should be.
Guys,
like that
can I say
process.
this? There's literally 100 plus templates written, 100 plus email templates, 100 plus SMS templates. Don't worry about the technology. Just look at the amount of time and energy to go and actually write the templates. That was something I had to live. It was outrageously hard. And look, with all due respect, that's why a lot of the databases don't have them, because they were built by the databases were built by computer guys, not by agents. And I think that this is our one of our very much unique advantages is all those templates are already there. And that's really just such a small part of Locked On. It's tiny, but you just take it for granted that, oh, okay, my system can do it. Yeah, but I have to write every automation, every action, every email, every essence, not in Locked On, it's all there.
Exactly right. Yeah, like it's hard to comprehend the amount of effort
ridiculous.
and time that went into all of this that you just get. And we want you to take it for granted. Let's be honest. We want you
We
just
want
to
it to be
learn
easy,
it and
easy to
implement
use,
so it's
easy to
easy.
roll out.
Yeah. And this just gives you a little look into the back end. Like, this is what we call a trigger. And when an inquiry comes in, immediately you can see it's firing off this email template, which is automated, and then an SMS, which is automated. And this is just a nice visual inside the system where you could add more SMSs to it, you could add more emails to it, and you could automate them or you could not automate them. It's just, that's a nice representation of a workflow for you just to see. And that's the inquiry response two-step setup that we've showed you and talked about prior today.
Yeah. So like the inquiry comes in, you get the email, the buyer gets the email, the buyer gets the SMS. That's what it looks like. It's nice and visual.
Yeah. So in regards to automation, we just have a little slide here on Zapier. And for people that know, Zapier is what we call a middleware application. It connects two different pieces of technology. Now, there is over 5,000 different apps on this technology that you can connect to. For example, you can get Facebook leads to sync into your Locked On account. You can create invoices from Xero for a new property from Locked On to Xero. You can send emails from Gmail into Locked On. You can update Slack. You can use jot forms. It is very, very hard to comprehend.
ChatGTP.
Yeah, it's hard to comprehend what you can achieve with Zapier. But we wanted to put this on there because this extends what Locked On's automation is internally into other applications. Okay, so for people that know Zapier, they understand the power of it and what it's capable of doing. It has some extremely, extremely powerful technology that will allow you to run multiple different products and get data from Locked On and send it to Excel, send it to here, send it to Slack, do notifications, fill in forms. It's insane. But we wanted to mention that you're not just limited to Locked On's automation and working inside our environment, which is ideally it's the easiest because we're building it for you. It's in our environment. It's just a simple turn on, turn off, and it's real estate related. This kind of takes it out into whatever app you want to connect us to, you can do it.
Yeah. Jack just asked, can you use Google Forms? 100%, Jack.
Yeah.
It's Zapier. There's over 5,000 applications you can
definitely
Locked On to. So you think about all the developers, all the apps that are building technology around ChatGTP right now, right? Like Locked On can plug through Zapier straight into ChatGTP for like your chat bot on your website, and it goes into Locked On. Like the amount of third-party platforms that are working around ChatGTP. How do you monetize them within your database? Go through Zapier. It's outrageous.
Yeah,
but the cool thing is there's a lot of other databases out there right now that have no automation, zero. So they use Zapier for their automation, but Zapier's automation for the stuff we're talking about, they charge you for that. They charge you, what do they call it? Zaps or Zapes or whatever it is?
Yeah, like every step of an automation is a zap. So
it's Zap. And they charge you for that.
They have free plans, they have paid. Yeah,
there is no fee there. It's just, we have that baked into our DNA. That is part of Locked On. You don't need to go third party. But for the forms and all the rest, it's there. That's pretty cool.
Now, there was one last part. I know we're just a little bit behind on time. We're pretty close to 3 p.m., but there is one other last part of automation that I want to show you, which is a new step into Locked On's with a combination with Realty, is that with all of your properties that you have in here, whether they're listed or sold, you now have a really, really seamless way to get that from Locked On out into the socials by creating an ad. And yes, it's Zuckbucks and it's going through some technology through Realty, but it is really quick. It's really easy. And if it's really quick and easy, there's no barrier to it. And it's actually really, really powerful for brand awareness. It also has some pretty good stats on like impressions and people seeing it. But let's just click the create and launch ad. And just to show you this step is that if you have a listing in Locked On and you have the photos and the marketing and you're uploading it to the typical websites such as Real Estate Domain, yours, which are all the consumer facing ones, there is that whole other world of social. And to create an ad now, you don't have to know how to use Facebook. You don't have to know how to be an ad creator. You don't have to know that sort of skill. It will build the ad for you. You can pick your overlay. You can pick your text, whether you want it for sale, a single image, triple image. Most importantly, you want to geographically market this around your property. In real estate, we're not trying to market to nationally. We're not trying to market internationally. Like, we are a company that is focused on a certain radius. So if we pull that radius down around this listing, I could market it specifically around that and add multiple locations and select my gender. And once I'm happy with the ad and my location, I select my own budget and billing and how long I want that to run for, put in the payment, and literally within a couple of minutes, you have a digital ad on socials running through the Facebook network out there, going back to a set landing page that you want it to go to.
Well, that
because
could
you
be, that would more
specified
than
it.
likely be the Locked On micro page, like that
It is, yeah.
dedicated
For
landing.
people that know Locked On, we have dedicated landing pages for the properties, and that's what it will use as a default, but you can change that.
Yeah.
But
Well,
this is just,
but one thing I love about this, not having to go through Facebook Meta Business, which you
no,
almost need a degree to
yeah.
navigate, let
There's
alone
no
use.
setup here, no setup.
It's just,
Yeah.
it's grabbing the photos from Locked On, click some button, put your amount in, the days, and now this thing's pushing to a targeted audience all through your Locked On.
Yeah. And the great thing about it is that the quickest way to get this happening is that you just instantly click it up and running. You're producing an ad through realty.com, which is just like creating an ad on realestate.com, right? This is going through realty.com, going out to your geographical area, all traffic sent back to your site. When you do set up with Realty and you get an account with them, you can actually have the branding and they link it to your own Facebook or your own business page. So it comes up with your own branding at the top. So an ad by Aaron Shiner Realty.
Yeah.
So there is levels to it, but entry to market, it's literally a click of a button and you've got a social ad that you can put a budget on. And yes, as Aaron said before, it's Zuck bucks. It is a whole new way of thinking of promoting property if you're not doing
Zuckbucks
it.
suck.
But it is very, very cheap to get eyeballs on you and your brand and
It
a
is.
property. And then to retarget to them is the most important part.
It's the retargeting part.
Well,
and
it's also
how
the
easy it
new,
is.
it's the new letterbox drop, right?
Yeah.
Like
But
that's how you
you
got to think
factor
about
it in
it.
as part of your
Cost.
basic premium
Yep.
plus packages, right? 250, 300 bucks, marketing spend we're going to put towards Facebook, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. One last thing on here, Aaron, you can give them a bit of insight.
Yeah, this one is one of my favorite things. So what we've done is we've started a relationship with Pricefinder where we're able to sort of pull the data from Pricefinder out.
Oop.
And the really powerful thing is you'll be able to do quarterly market updates to basically anyone. I call it the 3 Ps, right? The potential seller triangle, which is the 3 Ps: pulse, property, and permission. If they've got a pulse, they have a property, and you have their permission, you should be sending them a quarterly report. Now, quarterly reports take time if you were to do them the old school way. Locked On will actually go in, know what to fall better, know what properties you've sold recently, what properties are currently up for sale. It will put a beautiful quarterly report together and send to that client. We'll email it to them. We'll send them a link to it. You can have it as a trigger a week later. Hey, did you get that link to the quarterly report? Did you have any questions? All of a sudden, now Locked On's doing your prospecting for you too. Quarterly reports that are bespoke or boutique, specific to that client. So it's not a generic report. It will make, if you've got 5,000 potential sellers in the database, 1,000 potential sellers, it will send out a specific quarterly report unique to that client with the client's address on it, you could have 100 appraisals in that area. Someone could be a 1 better, someone could be a 5 better. The 5 better would get a very different experience than the 1 better. So it's building customized CMAs, customized market reports, and sending them quarterly. Then you can have it followed up with an SMS saying, did you get it? Did you want an appraisal? So you can literally, what's that?
Yeah, sorry, it's a trigger. It's automation. No.
It's a trigger. It's automation. You can literally put your prospecting on autopilot. Worst case scenario, you could get hit by a bus and the people still wouldn't even know because you're sending them a quarterly report specific to them, following it up with a text. That is going to be an absolute game changer. Now, there's other programs out there that do it, but it's manual. And you've got to go from your CRM to like the proposal system. You're paying double subscriptions. You're double handling data. This is all in one, guys. This is all in one login, one subscription, one place. You put the appraisal in, it does the rest. Like there's nothing else out there like this right now.
Yeah, and it's like there's a lot to Locked On and Locked On Plus. So we're clearly just talking about the automation steps in it. But for me, I feel as though this is nearly the final piece that we need in Locked On to have a system that literally could nurture all your buyers through all the automation we've showed you, which are all the standard triggers we have: newsletters, inquiry replies, inspection replies, open home alerts, birthdays, anniversary automation, seller automation, appraisal innovation. And then you start getting into quarterly market reports, automated specifically to you around your property. there isn't much left that you need to do than other to be a nice person and call the person
No,
and
answer
have
the
a chat
calls
to
when
them
they
and
come.
answer. Oh, pretty much that's the opposite, right? Answering the calls when they
Answer
come.
the calls when they
Like,
come.
as in value in the industry of what the people are after. The only other thing on top of this would be really specific just sold marketing, which we teach you to do in bulk, really targeted to your database around it.
Geographically.
Yeah, geographically, but it's not an automation piece. But like once you feed the data into your CRM, which let's call it locked on in this way, and you're looking at enabling everything that we showed you today, far out, like it has to be working for you. Like as long as you've got this on and it's beautiful, it presents well, it's firing off, it should be printing commission for you really at some point.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's really, really exciting. We can't wait to get that out for people that are using Locked On Plus and seeing it in our proposal system and in our pre-list system. You already know the insights from Price Finder. This next part will be out in coming months, so we can't wait to get that part out.
There's
Out
so
to you
many
all.
things we didn't talk to you about today because like locked on, because it's not a trigger. All we were talking about today was automation. But there were so many things like, locked on will build your personal profile website. So it will build a dedicated agent profile website. Locked on will actually do a unique pre-listing kit for that presentation you're going to. It will actually do a proposal. So you've been to the presentation, you haven't got it signed up yet. It will do a full summary on it will do a full summary of everything you've said, and the guys are working on sign on glass where they can accept the proposal, sign the agreement on glass. There's so many things that we didn't show you today, but what we wanted to show you was automation. Basically, how do we do more touch points without you having to do more work? That's what I would really like to do. That's the goal of today. And regardless, if you love your current CRM, then that's great too. Like we're happy for you. All I'm going to say to you is, take what you've learned here and how do you apply it to the current database you're using. That's the main goal from today. Great. If we get some accounts from this, even better. But the reality is, if you take what we've shown you and go, well, how do I make that happen in my current database? Today's been a massive win.
Exactly. I think there's heaps that you can sort of look, even if you were to try and do some of these things manually, like the concepts there, we know the return on what they do, and that will have an impact in your business, definitely. But it's just about scalable. Like if it does start having an impact, well, we know that you'll probably drop the ball on it. And that's what we don't want to happen, is because once you start dropping the ball and you start getting busier from some of these initiatives working, it doesn't have that compound effect like automation does. So we want you just to keep getting busier, but having more time and keep those systems running forever without having to think about them all. So I think as a closing point, guys, like this last image, like let's just obviously hit the peak of the mountain. Like we feel as though Locked On with our technology and where we're at, we are very, very close to having a full encompassed CRM solution that is giving our boutique agencies, our individual agents, all the tools they need without having to have multiple subscriptions and multiple logins and multiple connections and APIs. Like we want to build and have everything for you in one thing. And that's our dream, right? That's our ethos of what we're working towards, is one subscription, one login that does it all.
Yeah, it's like we've been talking about it for years, but now when I look at agent websites done, personal websites done, pre-listing kits done, then you've even got micro websites per property done. You can access all the files, downloads done. You've got an amazing mobile app done. It's so many subscriptions now. What I see,
it's ridiculous.
it's multiple subscriptions in one place now. No need for multiple payments, no need for multiple logins, no need for multiple data handling. It literally does what probably 4 or 5 different applications are currently doing in the market, which is incredible.
Yeah. Well, guys, look, as a final thing, you can see here on the slide, like we want you to dream big, work hard, and stay humble. We hope that you've picked up on some things today for people that aren't Locked On users, some things that you can try and go back and implement into your system. The Locked On users, hopefully you've learned some things that you weren't using and you could reach out to us and we can definitely train you on those. We do our monthly webinars where we cover a lot of that in detail as to how you actually activate it and get it all on. And we have a lot coming. So we're really excited to get that out and to show you some future releases of some products that we have. But again, guys, thanks so much for your time. I'd like to thank Aaron, obviously
Thank
flying
you.
around the world, coaching, doing a lot of real estate coaching lately. Like how many sessions you up to already this year?
Oh, I think I did 600 and something last year. And just to give you some
Far
insights, like Sunday was New Zealand. Monday, I opened the National Harcourts Conference in New Zealand. Then left there, 2 office visits on on Tuesday. So a morning session and an afternoon session in Sydney. Then from Sydney, I went to Ballina. That was Wednesday. Then come home Wednesday night. Then sessions all day today, sessions all day tomorrow. And then I've got my real estate retreat next week, which is my 2-day sort of, invite only kind of mastermind small group thing. And then the week after that is leadership. Man, it's all happening.
Yeah, it's happening. It's happening. Yeah. Well, look, I can honestly say, look, I think that from my perception, the market is starting to get a little bit better. And I think you might agree with all your coaching as well.
Yeah.
We can feel it at Locked On.
Oh, the
Like we're
ball
getting
has
a lot of
bounced.
interest.
The ball has
Yeah,
bounced for sure.
we're getting a lot of interest. So I think there's positive signs for the market. And if you're willing to, take the most of that and you take advantage of technology, we'd love to speak to you. So make sure you reach out to us at lockedon.com. And if you're after, amazing training, great strategies, great templates, we call Aaron Shiner the systems coach. Like he's not just all the fluff. He gives you the resources and the systems and the tools. Make sure you reach out to Aaron at aaronshiner.com.au. But again,
Luke.
guys, thanks
Great
again.
session.
Today.
Thank you, mate.
Yeah,
Thank you to
it's
everybody
all
that stuck
recorded.
around
We'll be
right to
sending
the
it
end.
all
We
to you.
appreciate you.
And look, reach out to us at lockedon.com and fill in the demo request form if you'd like to know more. All the best, guys.
Have a great day. See ya.
Bye.